Sean Diddy Combs, once one of entertainment's most powerful moguls, accused of crime so heinous, he faces the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars.
Diddy's trial wasn't supposed to involve Tyler Perry. But once the testimony started, the names being mentioned, the stories being confirmed, and the whispers from years ago suddenly became too loud to ignore.
Rumor that have been going on about my relationship status, let me make it clear to you all. I'm not gay. For those of you spreading rumor Jalla Kelly because you find out I'm gay, that's a big lie.
Because now it's not just blog rumors or YouTube theories. It's evidence, sworn statements, NDA documents, and stories that connect back to people like Tyler Perry. Names that were never supposed to be said out loud.
I saw you at a Diddy party, Tyler. And you were having a glorious time.
Jaguar Wright has been warning about this for years. And when Christian Keys came forward about being by a powerful male mentor in entertainment, fans didn't have to guess who he meant. They already knew who he had once called a brother.
This person was harassing me for years.
Now that Diddy is in court, the story is unfolding in ways no one expected. And Tyler Perry's name keeps coming up, not in the courtroom itself, but in the testimonies, allegations, and timelines that surround it. And the picture it paints? It confirms everything people feared. Years before the Diddy trial, Jaguar Wright said something that most people ignored. She said Tyler Perry was at the parties, not just once, not just in passing, but as part of the scene. In her own words,
I saw you at a Diddy party, Tyler. And you were having a glorious time.
At the time, most people dismissed it. Another wild Jaguar rant, another claim that couldn't be proven. But now that Diddy's trial is underway, and those same parties are being described in graphic legal detail, her story hits different. The trial includes testimony from women who say they were drugged, filmed, and forced into signing NDAs after freak-offs hosted by Diddy in secluded mansions and private villas. Cassie Ventura, the first major witness, spoke about parties where women were handed pills, asked to perform, and monitored by security. She described what Diddy allegedly called freak-offs, setups involving male escorts, luxury hotel rooms, candles, pills, and private recordings. According to Cassie, these were not spontaneous encounters. They were planned, controlled, and always one-sided. It basically entails the hiring of an escort and setting up this experience so that I could perform for Sean, she said. It involved Combs being able to watch me with the other person and actually direct us on what we were doing. Eventually, it became a job for me, pretty much. When asked if she enjoyed those moments, she broke down. Only because I got to spend one-on-one time with Combs, and I really did love him.
And she said that she did it because she was 22, 21, she was young, she didn't know any better, and that she wanted to please Sean Combs.
In open court, a second woman said she woke up in Diddy's Miami guest suite, bruised and unable to remember what had happened. She said she was offered money to stay silent. When she refused, she lost her job at a firm connected to Revolt TV. Another witness, a former executive assistant, testified that these settlements were standard practice. Some of the NDAs, including one involving Turks and Caicos, specifically referenced recorded S-acts and distribution. These aren't rumors. These are federal exhibits. And what Jaguar said back then about seeing Tyler Perry at one of these parties, about watching her male friends come back from collaborations with him, changed, about being blacklisted for speaking up, suddenly makes sense in a way it didn't before.
They tell me what happened to my friends. And I don't care how long it's been since I talked to them. They will always be my friends. Always. Tim and Durrett and Lamont Rucker were not the same after they went on camera with Tyler Perry.
And just when Jaguar's warning started sounding less like rants and more like receipts, someone else stepped forward to validate the same environment, but from a different angle. On December 16th, actor Christian Keys posted a video that shifted everything. In it, he didn't name names, but he didn't need to. He said he had been by a male figure in entertainment, someone he once considered a brother, a mentor, someone powerful, famous, and deeply respected. And immediately, fans pointed to Tyler Perry.
This person was harassing me for years.
Christian had spoken before about how much he respected Tyler, called him a mentor, said he helped open doors. And then, out of nowhere, he accused an unnamed mentor of serious while mentioning that his lawyer had the evidence, the video, the names, and the full breakdown in case anything happened to him. His exact words, "Several family members and my attorney have the proof. If anything happens to me, that information will come out." The reaction was immediate. Fans flooded Perry's social media pages. Accusations spread, and Perry, usually silent about internet rumors, broke character. In an unprompted response, he addressed the speculation about his and said the rumors were a big lie.
Rumor that have been going on about my relationship status, let me make it clear to you all. I'm not gay. For those of you spreading rumor Jala Kelly because you find out I'm gay, that's a big lie.
But Christian's claims weren't about they were about power. The deflection raised more questions than it answered. This came at a time when Diddy's trial was already confirming the existence of NDAs, manipulation, and coerced silence. Christian's video didn't exist in a vacuum. It existed in the exact same world Cassie was testifying about. And now, with both Jaguar and Christian drawing invisible lines around the same culture, it no longer felt like separate incidents. It felt like a pattern. And if that pattern was already being described in legal terms inside a courtroom, it was time to revisit the rumors that were dismissed as conspiracy. The idea that powerful men in entertainment create tightly controlled environments where silence is enforced isn't new. But Diddy's trial put it on paper. What made it even harder to ignore was that this exact dynamic had been satirized years earlier, and the target was Tyler Perry. In a now-banned episode of The Boondocks, a character named Winston Jerome was introduced. He was a flamboyant, closeted Christian director who manipulated young black men under the guise of spiritual mentorship.
Jesus, how can I further spread your message? Cross-dressing?
The episode was pulled. But behind the scenes, producers like Carl Jones said Perry was enraged. He reportedly called the network himself and demanded it never air again. What was meant to be a joke suddenly felt like a warning. And years later, the themes from that episode line up disturbingly well with what Cassie and others are now describing in court: secrecy, manipulation, coercion, and silence. The allegations didn't stop there. One actor who auditioned for a Perry project said he made it to the final round, but got dropped after he wasn't engaged enough during a prayer circle. There were even quiet claims that these circles were being monitored or filmed. In isolation, that sounds like paranoia. But now that Diddy's trial is confirming surveillance, staged rituals, and pre-signed contracts before, it doesn't seem so far-fetched. When taken together, it's clear. What was once described as a creative process or spiritual bonding now looks like a control tactic. And in the same year, the industry begins to collapse under the weight of long-hidden stories about Perry's behind-the-scenes methods take on new meaning. The environments may look different, but the structure is starting to feel identical. Tyler Perry could have stayed quiet. He usually does. But after Christian Keys' video, after Jaguar Wright's allegations resurfaced, and after Diddy's trial started naming patterns that matched his world, he spoke up. Not about the trial, not about the accusations, but about the rumors. He said people were lying. He said he was tired of the gossip, and he said it in a tone that didn't sound casual. It sounded defensive. What stood out most wasn't his choice of words. It was why he chose to respond. Because in the past, he's never needed to. Tyler Perry doesn't explain himself to the internet. His brand has always been bulletproof, built on success, faith, and emotional storytelling. But now, something's different. People are connecting the dots. Cassie's courtroom testimony, Jane Doe's NDA, Jaguar's 2020 live streams, Christian's cautious video. They all paint the same picture, one where fame and power are used to protect silence, and where the victims only get to speak when the machine starts to break. And that's exactly what's happening. Tyler Perry's response didn't clear his name. It added to the timeline. And the timing alone suggests this isn't just noise. It's pressure. You see, Diddy's trial was never just about one man. It was about what happens when power goes unchecked. The testimonies describe more than just they described systems, hotel staff, lawyers, bodyguards, assistants, all trained to stay silent, to manage chaos, to issue payments, to file NDAs, and to make sure the world never found out what really happened behind closed doors.
All people that Cassie Ventura was able to name and explain the functions in terms of what they did: security, driver, chief of staff, someone that handled finance.
That's the world Tyler Perry has operated in too. Quiet, controlled, closed off, and until now, untouched. But this trial changed that. Not legally, but perceptually. Because now the public knows what the inside of that system looks like. They've heard the transcripts, they've seen the exhibits, they've listened to women break down on the stand. And when they hear Jaguar say Tyler was at those parties, they believe her. When they see Christian terrified to say a name, they understand why. When they rewatch the Boondocks, it doesn't feel like a cartoon anymore. Diddy may be the one in court, but he's not the only one being exposed. Because what this trial confirmed is that the real fear wasn't just about what Tyler Perry did. It was about what he was part of. A machine that used religion, mentorship, and fame to cover up power. And now, that machine is breaking. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.